Imola in Italy, venue for round 3 of the 1991 World Championship as the Formula One teams return to Europe.
Williams have been pushing them very, very hard indeed, and some people here believe this is going to be Williams' weekend as it was here last year. Ferrari, well, 2 disappointing races to the start of the season, but they ended up being the quickest team in those 2 separate tests. So things are now turning around at Ferrari, but of course the pressure on that team here in Imola is great. It's going to be an exciting weekend. We've got that super division of 3 teams. We've got then the second division, which is going to be people like Jordan, Delara, the new Benetton, which we haven't seen very much of, and of course the Tyrrell Honda. As for the rest, well, they're going to make up the numbers. But any motor race in Italy for me is going to be fantastic, and I just can't wait for the weekend to start.
Well, new cars, we've heard lots of changes since Brazil. It has been 5 weeks. Let's take a stroll now down pit lane and catch up with the new developments. McLaren won the first 2 Grand Prix of the season, Phoenix and then Brazil. And they come to Imola with 2 new cars ready to do the same thing all over again. That said, they're just developmental versions of the original car, and we spoke to Gerhard Berger about them.
It's not a lot new. We have some new aerodynamic stuff that works quite well, and some small parts new. But the car was good in testing here, and I think we are competitive. But also Williams and Ferrari was very strong, so if I'm honest, I don't know how competitive we are, how strong the others are.
There's perhaps some pressure on you to do well. It must be terribly difficult being Ayrton Senna's teammates. You've had some bad luck in Phoenix. You had a bit of bad luck on the start line in Brazil.
No, I had not bad luck in Phoenix. I was just bad in Phoenix. That was all. In Sao Paulo, I had a little bit bad luck here because in the start the car catch fire. And then in the first half, the car was very difficult to drive because my tire pressure was up. But in the second half, my car was all right, but it was too late to catch up. So I'm looking forward to these races here in Europe. In the testing, I find me and myself a little bit better, getting forwards. And I'm sitting now comfortable in the car. Should be better.
Is it difficult to go fast here?
Everywhere it's difficult to go fast.
McLaren then looking pretty invincible after 2 Grand Prix, but chasing hard behind them come Williams. Their Achilles heel has been the gearbox, and they seem to have solved that problem which let them down in Phoenix and in Brazil. They also seem keen not to let anybody see the noses of their cars here in Imola. And it was at Imola that Riccardo Patrese won last year. Could he do the same again this year?
I don't know. I'm not a magician, so I don't know what can happen here in Imola. I think, of course, that our car has a very good chance to be very competitive here and in the rest of the season. So because of that, I look forward to this race and the rest of the season. I hope to win, of course, but it's not easy.
The gearbox problem, I gather, is fixed now, and I know the car was very quick at Silverstone. You must be feeling pretty confident.
Yes, the reliability is coming, and that is a very important point. The speed seems that we have. So I'm confident, yes, but you know, we have to fight because we are not alone. There is McLaren and Ferrari that they are very strong, as us. So there is a good fight to do, and I'm looking forward to it.
Williams attacking hard, but Ferrari are the people who must be under the most pressure at any Italian racetrack. They haven't looked too good after the opening 2 rounds, but they have made some changes to the 642, and we asked Cesare Fiorio, the team manager, about them.
We think we have made quite a big improvement from Sao Paulo to now, because we have a new front suspension, we have new aerodynamics, and also a good increase in the power of the engine. But we don't know whether this will be enough or not, because Williams and McLaren seem to be very, very fast. And especially Williams, I think this year is doing a fantastic work.
This is Italy. Do you feel as if you're on trial?
Well, of course, here in Italy there is a lot of pressure. There will be, I don't know, 200,000 people around this circuit. And many of these will be for Ferrari, so we hope to do well. Otherwise, we must go out from the back door.
Benetton haven't just made some changes. They brought a brand new car designed by John Barnard to Imola. It features the high nose we saw on the Tyrrell here last year, but Benetton remained tight-lipped about their prospects for this race when we asked them. Brabham too have a new car at Imola, and theirs also has the same high nose feature at the front. We took the opportunity to speak to the designer, Sergio Rinland, and ask him what the prospects were for his car.
Well, I'm just hoping that it will be all right. We've got a lot to learn about this car because it's completely new and done in a completely new system as well, and a new philosophy of setting the car up and everything else. So we done few laps in Monza last week. We learned a lot. There's a lot of development to do, and we just have to carry on working.
We can expect the car, the new car, to run slightly better than the old one then?
Oh yes, for sure.
Any idea how much better?
No, I can tell you that after Sunday.
There's a third new car in the pit lane as well. This time it's a high-nose footwork. Driver Michele Alboreto crashed heavily in testing, hurting his leg, and we asked him whether or not he'd be able to make the race.
Quite painful at the moment, but I am happy to be here anyway, even because I must use the old car. But I think every lap that we made with this Porsche engine can improve our performance, so I think I'm here for making my job.
Will you be driving in the race, do you think?
Oh, yes, I would like, but I don't think it's possible to qualify the old car. And unfortunately, we have only one new car, so we try to qualify that one. And Alex is in a better condition, so he's right, and he drives the new car.
Money troubles have afflicted AGS for some while. They called in the receiver and have now been bought out by Krypton Engineering, who run in Formula 3000. And they have replaced Stefan Johansson with their own Formula 3000 driver, Fabrizio Barbazza.
Okay.
Well, that's the news from the pit lane, and a great deal going on, as you've heard. Imola as a circuit, though, is a favourite with almost all of the drivers, as Ayrton Senna explains for us now.
It's a special place for me, but it's a tough race, it's fast, very competitive normally. It's a place where you can overtake, so you have to have a balanced car to go quick and consistent throughout the race if you want to win races. It's not a place like you start ahead and then even if you are a little slower you can stay ahead because it's difficult for overtaking. So it's a technical circuit. It's also a psychological circuit from the point of view of the spectators. And it's the return to Europe after many months without competing here. So it's a new stage, a different stage in the championship.
Well, that's one view of the Imola circuit, but John Watson beside me here, who's the circuit likely to favour in terms of cars?
Well, Richard, of course, it's all right for Ayrton Senna to say he likes Imola. He's got that V12 Honda engine behind him, maybe 700 horsepower. But there are a few people out there that have maybe got a little more than 600 horsepower. So for them, Imola, which is fundamentally a power circuit, it's going to be a very hard day's work. If they get through the qualifying into the race, that's the best they can expect. But as I say, Imola is a power circuit, and inevitably, all the teams, the top teams, are the teams that have got the most powerful engines. So going back again to Honda, McLaren, Ferrari and Renault Williams, those are the three teams that have got the best engines. But of course the Ford HB, that little V8 engine, while it's not quite so powerful, it is very frugal. It makes more miles to the gallon than any other engine in Formula One. Now to start the race in Imola, carrying maybe 6 or more gallons less than a Honda or a Ferrari is an advantage. And of course the race distance here means that it's a long race, it's a fast race. Everybody's going to have to fill their tanks up to the capacity, except the Benetton and the Jordan. So they've got a slight advantage in that they don't have to carry that extra weight. But all in all, I think it's an exciting racetrack. There's going to be pit stops. Again, it's a hard circuit on tyres. But generally an exciting race, and as we've seen in the past, it is not necessarily the favourite that wins. Riccardo Patrese won last year. Can he win this year? Can Mansell break his duck this year? Can the Ferrari recover the ground they lost from the end of last year? Or are we going to see yet again Ayrton Senna, the winner of the first two Grand Prix of '91, continue on and make it a hat-trick? Anybody betting against Senna is a brave man, but for me, Patrese's got to be the outside bet for this weekend.
Well, that's the state of play as far as the drivers and the cars are concerned. Let's now take a close look at that Imola circuit and take a ride round it with John Watson.
Well, thank you, Richard. And I really wish it was me driving this Williams Renault, but in fact it's Riccardo Patrese, and he's now going to begin a lap of the Imola circuit. And he's just about taking 6th gear now and coming down to this wonderfully fast left-hand Tamburello corner, flat out in 6th, about a mere 180 miles an hour, and then continually picking up speed as we come through this right-hand corner, peaking at about 195, then down to 2nd gear for the Tosa hairpin bend. Now, of course, Patrese has got a semi-automatic gearbox, similar to that of Ferrari, and of course he's changing gear by holding onto the steering wheel and operating the little levers behind the wheel into 4th gear for this wonderfully fast double left-hand and dropping downhill corner. Then down into a very tight and slow 2nd gear, right-left chicane, then 3rd gear, 4th gear into the Acqua Minerale, an uphill right-hand corner, easy to run wide over the curb. Then up to yet another one of these 3 chicanes here at Imola, again a 2nd gear corner in, and then taking 3rd just on the curb at the exit, picking up speed, 4th gear, 5th gear, and just about getting into 6th gear as we come under the bridge, down into the Rovazza, again a double left-hand corner. In fact, really it's 2 corners. The first part taken in 3rd, the second part just getting 4th at this point now, passing Julian Bailey on the right-hand side in his Lotus, then to a very fast right, left, this is 5th gear, then hard on the old anchors again, down into 2nd gear for the left, right, then into 3rd quickly, 4th, 5th gear, and taking 6th just after the bridge, and there you have a lap of Imola 91.
Well, thanks, John, for a look at the Imola circuit. So, those 4 drivers going through into the qualifying session, and perhaps not the 4 we all expected to see. But that qualifying session is now just minutes away. Join us again after this break. To get underway. As we said before the break, the clouds were getting darker and lower. A few spots of rain have fallen here, and there is now some question as to whether this session may or may not be conducted in the wet. And here's a man who obviously has that question of weather very much on his mind, because Ayrton Senna is virtually the first person to take to the circuit out at the beginning and setting himself up for what looks like being a flying lap.
Well, Senna came onto the start-finish line. The tail of his McLaren Honda stepped out a little bit, so this is obviously a major qualifying attempt. Of course, the weather being a little bit unsure right now, we expect to see other people come out very shortly. Whatever Senna does, others will follow. But Senna on his first run down into the Tosa hairpin bend. That's that slow 2nd gear uphill corner at the end of the straight. Senna now accelerating up 4th gear, 5th gear. And this wonderful, it's a double apex left-hand corner, running out wide over that curb, then back in for the second part of that corner, then down into another tight and slow right-left chicane that leads to the Acqua Minerale corner. 4th gear uphill double apex corner that leads on then again uphill to yet another chicane. The green flag's out now. I think that indicates that either there's slow traffic around or that the track is clear, the concern being that a few spots of rain that were falling, that is a warning to say the track is clear. But Senna with a fair bit of traffic to contend with. Not the most ideal lap for Senna. Everybody, of course, wanting to be out as soon as possible to ensure that they get a clear lap and the track is not wet. And now he's just about to complete that lap. Senna back onto the pit straight. Again, well over the curb, sliding around quite a lot. Let's see what the time is. Well, already Ayrton Senna's gone 0.6 of a lap, 0.6 of a second quicker than his pole position last year. That was a 1:22.646.
So, Alain Prost out on the circuit, and